Hey, I don't know that you'd want the mantle, would you? But Victoria looks to be the #1 state for dobbers, Chris.
Yeah, well, if they want a competition, they might say they've got the best sport in the AFL, but they're also the biggest dobbers in the world. And what is this? $8 million? And if they are trying to second the ADF to try and take all the calls from all the dobbers, 173,000, what is happening to the calls being put out for domestic violence, crime, car theft, all the things that would take up police time? You just wonder through this period what we've lost. And the same goes for welfare. How many kids and families have fallen through the cracks while we've concentrated on this? Well, $8 million, they'll be laughing all the way to the bank, but back off. A bit of discretion from now on, surely.
Oh, well, it's better than money from China. I've got to go to that borders brouhaha you've got up north there, Gleeson. So your Premier, Annastacia Palaszczuk, was out there again today insisting the borders could remain closed until September. Now, the medical experts say we never said to shut them in the first place, and we don't say they stay shut now either.
Well, I just heard, you talk about Mark McGowan saying who is Professor Paul Kelly. Well, he's without question the preeminent epidemiologist in this country. He sits on 2 boards related to the World Health Organization. The guy is a preeminent expert in this particular field, and he's saying that the borders should be open. In Queensland here, we've got Annastacia Palaszczuk sticking to her guns and those of her Chief Medical Officer, Jeannette, that they don't think that the borders should be open until possibly September. Now, Peter, I've been covering politics in this state for 30-odd years, and I can tell you now, there is only a very, very few people in this state, probably just the Labor cabinet, who believe that the borders should not be reopened on July 10. The mood here in Queensland is palpable. The anger is extreme. People want to get back and get back into business. They want their livelihoods to be preserved. Now, here's some stats. 30,000 people unemployed on the Gold Coast in the last month related to tourism. 7,700 in Cairns. And the important part of this debate, Peter, is if she allows the borders to reopen on July 10, we will get the southerners, the snowbirds, coming up from Victoria, New South Wales and other parts of Australia, which they often do during those school holidays. And it will give these people a scintilla of hope, a fillip that they so desperately want right now, because most of them are heading to the wall. I just think it's madness. I think she's made an probably the own goal of her premiership. And if she doesn't reverse this, I mean, we flattened the curve, but now she wants to flatten the economy.
Yeah, it's interesting. I saw that interchange today, didn't you, Chris? And Annastacia Palaszczuk saying, I won't take lessons from Gladys Berejiklian. I mean, look at her and Ruby Princess. Well, Berejiklian sort of said, I'm not going to take lessons from you about the economy. We pay our way in New South Wales, and you guys, well, yes, your debt's over $90 billion. That's why we need the borders opened.
And New South Wales, and Sydney in particular, is the gateway to Australia. Have a look at the statistics. That is not even in question. It is the gateway to Australia. Even in the context of the Ruby Princess, there were people that boarded that ship and came to Sydney that were then sent off to other states and territories. This is why there are big numbers in New South Wales. That is so out of context, it's not funny. But her stubbornness, I think Gleeson is entirely right here, will hurt her big time, because is she out and about talking to the people that have had to close their business for good, their livelihoods lost, unable to put, food on the table for their families? They're losing $50 million a day.
Just on that point, I want a quick comment from both of you. This decision out of the Federal Court on casual workers. We know that casual workers are paid more per hour because they don't get annual leave and they don't get sick leave. And the ordinary worker gets paid a lower rate, but they get all the other entitlements. That's the difference between permanents and casual. Well, a decision today says, well, no. Casuals, you can still get your leave loading, but you're going to get all the other things. So they are actually better off than the permanent worker. Now, Labor says, terrific, we'll back the decision, Gleeson. So the government says, well, we need to talk to employers and employees. Yeah. We don't think at this time it's necessarily a good idea, and they may legislate or join in action to have the decision relitigated. This is the last thing business need.
Exactly. $8 billion hit to business, as if coronavirus isn't enough. And I think there will be an appeal, and I think the appeal has very good grounds because, as you say, and quite rightly point out, they are paid extra for a reason. To now enshrine this in legislation, which basically means that employers are going to have to pick up the bill, as I said, an $8 billion bill, they don't need it at this time. They just do not need this particular impact right during the, the height of a pandemic and a coronavirus situation.
Chris, I've got to go another one to you. ABS data out today says if you're under the age of 20, out of JobKeeper, you've actually had a 16% increase in your wage, which proves the point I've been banging on about day one. We ended up paying young people way more than they're actually earning under JobKeeper because we had a blanket sum. And people trying to raise families got a long way short of what they really were earning before this virus. Now, in the UK, everyone got a percentage of their actual wage. We got this wrong.
We've got this wrong because these are the anomalies of anything applied as a flat rate. And the anomaly seems to be that because younger people, teenagers in particular, rushed off to get a job at a supermarket, they not only got a better wage than what they normally would have in terms of hours worked and what's in their pay packet, but all of a sudden, $750 per week from the government added onto all of that. Like, that's extraordinary. We've got people who are cutting wages by 25% of what they normally get. And here is a 16% increase for teenagers. That's why flat rates have anomalies and it's unfair.
All right, got to leave it there. Peter Gleeson, thanks for your time. Chris Smith, I'll be back watching you at 8 o'clock tonight.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.